It is 9:50 a.m. I have one trade to go over. While this is trying to break this range of roughly 325. I did have a trade with this one in the morning. It's not really the best news. It was pretty bad news actually, but it wasn't um, so bad. It was better than nothing, and it just had like an analyst upgrade of $1. And the idea was is that it was going to ideally break this previous day high of 310. So I was watching it in the open. This was the one I was looking at the most, and I did get in at 932. Once we kind of broke above this mini resistance of 307, and it was looking like it was going to try to break $3.10. I didn't really wait for confirmation this time. I just took it when it looked like it was going to. A little iffy because it did do a wick, but it did eventually break above 310 and hold above 310. I got in at yeah, pretty much 310 right here at 932. So right here is when I got in. And I did sell this in pieces. I sold my first piece, 10 shares at 315. That was at 933. Sold some right here. I didn't like how this one was exponential because, I mean, if I were to have drawn, I guess, a trend line. Yeah, you see there was a part when it was a little too exponential. And when something like that happens, it makes me feel like the run-up isn't going to last that long because it just went a little too crazy. I did sell more at 315, just 5 shares the same minutes, so right around here. And then I sold some more at 317 the next minute. This was my best sell at 934, and then I sold five more. No, actually, yeah, the remaining 30 amount at 316, and that was at 934. So what happened was is that it got exponential, and that really brought me into the idea of selling most of it. It did drop, sure, but it never broke under VWAP, which is nice, and it did try to break this level of 320 here with this wick, and now the new level to break is 325, and I don't see anything right now. This could be like a head and shoulder, and this could be like the head. Maybe if it drops towards VWAP, but maybe a higher low or a double bottom off of this. Maybe it can be something that I could consider buying and then sell into a shoulder. Or it could just try to break the day high. That's pretty much it for right now. I don't see anything that I'm interested in trading. It is 11:09 p.m. and I'm here to call it off. Overall, it was just that one trade with SCYX. I made $3 and it just didn't really work out too much. I essentially again bought right here at this 310 breakouts, with that being the previous day high, and then it had some news. It wasn't the best, but it had news. And I sold into the first run up. The top was 319, and my average sell was at 316. It did eventually break 320, which ended up being the resistance level throughout all of this point right here, but not until it went under VWAP a few times. And I'm starting to see this happen actually a lot more, where before a setup really starts to work out, it does actually dip under VWAP, and this one did it a few times. So that's something I'll be looking at into the future. And I was also looking at this for an inverse head and shoulders. Shoulder, the head, and then I thought this could be like the shoulder right here, but when it downtrended and broke under VWAP, it just didn't look like the pattern anymore. But I guess you can call this the shoulder, and it did actually work out. And I was also thinking of a head and shoulder, head, and then when it dropped under VWAP, I wasn't interested in it for a dip buy. Although I guess, yeah, I mean, a buy at 310 again, and then the tops right here at 316. It didn't look nice once it broke below this level for that head and shoulders dip buy setup. So that was it. I do regret, even though I wouldn't have traded this one because it's a halter and I don't really like to trade them all that much. Although I've been in a halt profitably before, I wish I was just there looking at it because this looked very interesting. And it did eventually, once it broke above 320, it did move exponentially. So really, I need to look for stuff that dips under VWAP, but it's still holding a crucial point, or maybe dips under it and then regains itself and breaks a resistance level like it did right there. I do regret not being a part of that, or at least, looking at it as well. This one, I just don't really like the way it trades, but I do like this ascending triangle that played out right here. You can draw a line, and it actually did it very nicely from the 530s to the 560s. I guess not that much range, but the pattern was definitely clear. That one was just weird to look at. This one was another one, a dip under VWAP, and it played out. And this one is going for this multi-day range breakout above 1755, so that's interesting. If it can continue to be maybe a short squeeze, that will be nice. Otherwise, that's pretty much it. This one could also try to do a multi-day breakout, maybe above $7. That's all I got for today. I'm happy with that trade with SCYX, but I regret not being a part of a potential setup in the future, or looking at some, where is it, the halter GFAI. Again, even if I were not going to trade it, I would have liked to have watched it to learn from it.